One of the sponsors has been with us from the beginning is our friends out in North Carolina, Highland Canine at Tactical Police Canine, letter K number 9, training.com. They are full service from top to bottom, left to right, north, south, east to west. They have everything, pointy ears, floppy ears, whatever you want. And they are a full service kennel doing seminars as well as handler schools for completed dogs and as well as green dogs. So be sure to hit them up, Highland Canine at tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com. The Fergusons are fantastic people. Jason's been on the podcast as well, so go look up his episode.
Our one of my favorite sponsors is Dogtra. The folks over at dogtra.com. They've been doing this for a long time, guys. Their e-collars, bark collars, everything they do, we love it. We have a great relationship with them. They give a discount code WDR10 for 10% off any single item over $200. I tell everybody I have a kennel full of Dogtra e-collars. Most importantly, I have a kennel full of Dogtra bark collars. The YS600 to me is the best piece of equipment in all of dogs. Check them out, dogtra.com. Check them out on Instagram at dogtraofficial.
We really like the guys at Ray Allen Manufacturing. They've been around for freaking ever. They were making working dog equipment before there were working dogs for working bison, apparently. So, and their product designer is one of our favorite people, Matt Wilson. We love Matt. So rayallen.com. And everyone thinks, it's only for police and military dogs. And that's not the case. If you have a working dog, whether it's police and military or search and rescue or even hunting, and even if you got pets, they have literally everything minus the dog and the patrol car that you would need to outfit a working team or a pet team for anything, whether it be scent work, whether it be AKC or UKC scent work, all the way up to explosive and narcotics detection for military and police teams and everything in between. So be sure to hit them up at rayallen.com. Use the discount code Working Dog Radio spelled out for 10% off your order.
Absolutely, not even probably. Our first sponsor and longest sponsor is Arno over at ALM. Probably, to me anyways, one of the best guys in all canine. His website, almcanineequipment.com. You can get on there, give him a call, email him. He's the only guy you're going to talk to. almcanineequipment.com. He has easily the best tugs in the business. His bite suits are amazing. They last for a long time. Ted will tell you he's got the same jacket since Noah threw the ark out there. And his hidden sleeve, I still say, is the best in the business. Check him out. Use a discount code WD Radio, all spelled out, 10% off your first order. Check him out on Instagram, ALM Canine Equipment.
Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. We are back. I am Ted Summers, as always, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. With me from Canton, Ohio, is Eric Stambro. Eric, what's up?
Oh man, was it gorgeous today? Got to 80 degrees, sunny. They said it was going to rain all week, man. It's been great. Granted, it's Tuesday, but got a handler school going on. Got let's see. So tomorrow's Wednesday. Got a week and a half left. I might not do any handler schools for a while. I think I might be sick of them for a little bit. And I might cancel the fall one. Just do green plus dogs or pre-trained dogs. But
there you go.
It's been rough. So I got 2 dogs getting picked up by a ground transport person, headed out to Vegas to see Cameron, 2 single-purpose explosive dogs. Fitting into his little program. I was helping him out. He had a quick timeline, and I happened to have dogs that were started, so helped him out with that a little bit. And that's it. I'm going to this weekend to Muscatatuck, which is a little spot over in Indiana. Anybody who's been in the military on this side of the country probably has been in Muscatatuck at some point. It's actually where I went. I was invited to go there back when I was at the police department and met one of the guys who was working for Cobra Canine, working the East Coast contract, and stayed in contact with him. That's how I got the job. But that Muscatatuck place is pretty cool. It's a lot of search and rescue people going. Me and someone else are doing some law enforcement. I don't think there's going to be that many law enforcement, but like they can flood there's like a town that can flood it. They've got all kinds of cool stuff, man. It's the search and rescue people are going to have a blast. I'm going to do whatever. I just give me a building with an elevator and I can spend all day in it.
Give me a building with an elevator. Yeah, that's the thing. They're like, oh, what do you need for HRDs? I'm like, just let me show up.
Fun shit.
Yeah, just let me show up like 10 minutes. Preferably not asbestos. That would be great. And if
what's going on in Tulsa?
We're getting Torchlight's new facility up and running. The build out, as you know, is a fucking pain in the ass. So we're pretty much through the deconstruction phase, and we're getting ready to start the build outside. And I've got some pets. I've got a pit bull, I've got a shithead German Shepherd, and a wire-haired pointing griffin. Aside from the patrol dogs, I've got also, and the pointing griffin thing is absolutely hilarious. Her name's Fancy, and she's here to learn to dog, but then also her owners want me to teach her to blood track, or that's what they call it. And I was like, fuck, I don't hunt. And they're like, well, you can train her to find people. I'm like, it's a little different. So upon doing some research and talking to people, I figured out what these dogs actually find. And somebody was like, oh, you got to have a leg in your freezer. I'm like, excuse me? And I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that. So I figured out a way around it. But yeah, it should be interesting to see, because I mean, she's all about food. Like she will do anything. And she's 5 months old, and she is rocking place and recalls and off leash obedience, walking around Home Depot and all kinds of crazy shit. So
nice.
Yeah, genetics are genetics. Plus I've got these 3 asshole patrol dogs, and I've still got I've got a lab now. I've got Gizmo, who we are going to put on narcotics, and I had several calls today about him. People apparently there's a shortage of single purpose dogs in the country, which
you think?
Yeah, no, because my phone, I rang like all these area codes. I would answer the phone, and they're like, oh, we hear you have a dog. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, can you hold it? I'm like, no. I found the last 2 calls, I was like, dude, whoever pays for him first gets him. And I was like, here's a number of an awesome transporter. His name's Larry. He's great. He will drop the dog off safe and sound, and he will text you on the way. And he's professional, and he's timely. So, but yeah, other than that, SSDD, more of the same. Getting some stuff finished up for our VA program stuff. But other than that, I'm just same stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So what do we got going on tonight?
So tonight we're going to our last episode was deep. We took a deep dive into the bird dogs. We've done some police canine stuff lately, but we haven't had a military handler on in a little while, several episodes. So we reached out to our guest, and it turns out him and I know a couple of the same people. So that was pretty cool. And it was an easy conversation. So once again, you will see when this guest comes on that I am once again the beardless son of a bitch in the podcast, because I have a smooth baby face that cannot grow hair. And I'll look significantly older than you two during this podcast. So you both can right there. But anyways, our friend, welcome aboard, our friend Kelly Roby. How are you, buddy? Come on in.
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate you coming in, man. This was kind of quick. Like,
yeah,
we talked last week, and then you had like literally a 1-day window. You're in that phase of life where kids are going in all directions in all sports, and who takes what here, and they're never at the same place. They're never at the same time. It never works out right. So I'm glad we could get you on here.
Yeah, true story. I mean, I'm in school, they're in school. Everybody's in Zoom, COVID, whatnot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's aligning the stars.
Yeah, everybody's got to be quiet at certain times for people to do their stuff, and it's pretty fun, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, kind of, some background and what got us to today.
Yeah. Well, I recently did a hat release with Eagles and Angels, which is run by a friend who is in a different squadron at a former Army SMU, or Special Missions Unit. And I had been in North Carolina for a guy's retirement. He hit me up and he said, hey, if you want to donate a uniform and you got a good cause, like, let us know. So, I thought on that and was kind of humbled, and had a friend who's running a good charity all secure. Tom Satterley, another guy from that unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, did the release, and then you guys reached out to me. I've been kind of hiding for the last, I don't know, 10, 12 years, kind of on the periphery of everything dog related. But, to go back to the very beginning, hopefully your audience doesn't grimace too much. We'll go to the high school years. I graduated out of here in Portland, Oregon, before it was what everybody knows it as today. But essentially, graduated with like a 1.68 GPA. Had friends helping me get out of high school. Had a
Nice.
great running career, track, like could do all that stuff, but really liked to party. That was my thing back then, and had the opportunity to go to University of Oregon after I went to community college, and after I proved that I could actually get my stuff together, and that was too difficult. So I started looking for options with the military, and was at a party one night and met this girl who was joining the Air Force, and I had already, kind of dabbled in this a little bit while I was in high school, my senior year, and they couldn't give me what I wanted. And I told them to go pound sand. I had better opportunities working at the local Ford dealership. I was going to do so much more. So essentially, met this girl, and she hooked me up with her recruiter, and he's like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I was like, I don't know, just something. And he showed me, like you hear everybody talk about it. He showed me the video, the VHS video of dudes jumping out of airplanes and coming up out of the water next to a boat, with their camo on and their hat and everything. And they're like, "Hey, this is Airborne Rangers. You want to do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, for sure. Like, sign me up." And he actually got me a contract. So I joined the military at 17 with a contract for Ranger Battalion. Fast forward, I was 135, 140 pounds, soaking wet. So I got beat up a little bit during basic training on not being able to make it to Rangers by all the drill sergeants and everybody. And, lo and behold, I made it through Airborne, made it to RIP back in the day, and made it to 2nd Ranger Battalion, which, just to be clear with everybody, is not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to 1st Bat. But, that was 2nd Bat was my second choice. And I guess it was better than 3rd Bat. So joined 2nd Ranger Battalion through the 90s, did, all the typical stuff, did SEER school, Best Ranger school, and then met my wife at the only school that I ever went to where there was another woman, got primary leadership development course to become a sergeant. And it was love at first sight for her. Took me a little while, but, we got married. And we both had the same ETS date in like 2000. And we're like, "Yep, we're getting out." I had never intended to, this was a bridge for me. I'd never intended to make it a career. And she had the epiphany that maybe getting out the same month, same year, like everything probably wasn't the smartest thing for us to do as a couple. So I was like, "Well, yeah, I can do this. I can do this thing down at Fort Bragg." I was like, I've heard about it. I can try out. It's like, we'll see what happens. And literally that's the way it went. I mean, I put time and energy into selection, but I didn't really know what I was getting into. I didn't come in with all these preconceived notions and have this history as a kid where I wanted to do that. I'd never shot a gun before I joined the military, so I wasn't that story. Slipped through the cracks, made it through selection, and and that was spring of 2001. So come April, May, I'm down at Fort Bragg. We had PCS down there. Started OTC, and kind of from there, September 11th happened. I was in OTC. I was totally convinced we were going to war. They were going to stop our training. We were going to war because we were.
You're far enough along.
Yeah,
just get it there.
We're good. I'm the most important person. I need to be in combat, right? So, long story short, that didn't happen. And that's, I think, a testament to the professionalism of that place. We continued our training as it was scheduled, and come to the end of that training. And I don't want to take too long, but I got assigned to the only section or squadron that had been to combat, right? And at this point in 01, everybody's like, I got to go to war. Like, we're training for the Olympics. This is war. And yeah, that didn't happen. I went to the only squadron that had been to war, and I was super bummed. But that's, ultimately where I got introduced to the canine section. So
that back then, though, the canine section was infant stage, correct?
super infant. Yeah. Like that was it. That was the program. That was minus, MPs, SPs, all that stuff, right? This was the only foray into special operations. It was, the equivalent of any new piece of equipment, I guess, that could be fielded into the military. It didn't really even have a mission. It was still trying to figure that out. So we were relying heavily on, police and whatnot to figure out a mission set for it. I wasn't, they were.
I'm just a chauffeur. So just tell me where to go.
I wasn't there yet.
I'll point him in the right direction.
And we'll get into a little bit some of the stuff you and I talked about your opinion on how you should be building that tactical canine program. Sure. But and we'll get into a little bit more in a minute. But I want to go all the way back to Portland. So I grew up in the 80s in Canton, Ohio. We drank Goebel, Schaefer Light, and Canai wine. That was our thing. When you said you were a partier, what was the drink of du jour in Portland?
So you guys know Widmer, right?
Yeah.
So Widmer was it, right? Widmer Hefeweizen. And then we had a company out here called Norwester, and they made raspberry Hefeweizen. Like that's what I grew like. And then the rest, right? The shit that we could actually, sorry if I can't swear, but the stuff that, the stuff that we get a hold of out there is great. But back then it was, Old E, right?
Yeah.
What's my bang for my buck? Like, the teeny deli in Portland, like, let's go get a 40. That malt liquor is that's gonna be the best thing ever. I mean, I couldn't do that now. I'll pay for that now.
Side pocket. We used to do Edward 40 hands when I was in college. It was not a good side pocket and Cobra. God bless that.
Anything that had alcohol that we could get at least, hopefully nothing more than twice what it cost, right? Anything that people would allow us to buy. So
fake IDs, buddy. That's how
I think the only time I've ever had a headache that was so bad my ears rang was from drinking some of that bullshit. Fuck, that
malt liquor was tough.
What is it? Thunderbird, grape malt liquor.
We had Mad Dog was a thing when I was
20,
when I was young.
Yeah.
And I think that was about it. The beer was almost undrinkable. That Schaefer Light stuff.
I was in a convenience store 2 days ago, and there was a rep from one of the liquor companies restocking stuff, and he was putting empty on the shelf, and this dude is standing there, and he looks at him, he's like, "Hey, you don't want that." He's like, "You'll wake up with some ugly bitch, you have to chew your arm off, get away from her." I was standing there with Paul, and I just turned around. I was like, I can't do this right now.
Yeah. I knew what the human body could go through before I went to war. Right. I saw it in high school.
You can throw up grape and still compete in sports.
True,
like the next day. It's pretty good.
For those that have been to HRDs, people know I hate throwing up, like absolutely hate puking. And I will puke if a dog blows. So there's a scenario we do that inevitably ramps dogs up to the point where they just blow their glands, and that smell instantly makes me vomit. And I did it in front of
cry. Your eyes are watering.
Oh yeah, right now my eyes are watering because the allergy season, because it's in Oklahoma and we have pollen is a state bird.
It's not the thought of that smell, I'm sure.
But the smell, oh man, I did it in front of a schoolroom full of fourth graders in Boston when we were at the HRD. But I hate.
You dropped your gland, or you threw up?
No, the dog did. I puked everywhere out in the middle of the street.
Okay.
Like
kids were pointing.
Fucking tattooed asshole, just sleeveless t-shirt on, and just blowing my guts out in the fucking parking lot.
Like Mrs. Smith, another junkie in the alley.
Yeah, exactly. And we're in Worcester, Mass, and which I'm sure they're used to seeing people throw up there because it's a rough town
in that alley.
In that alley. And
it blows my mind. Anybody that's dealt with dogs or anybody that's in that community, like we all have that background. I don't know anybody that truly doesn't. I think we all have to be a little bit weird to be dealing with dogs.
Mhm.
And it seems like a common theme that runs through everybody.
So when you're at that squadron and you
Yeah.
kind of start peripherally getting into the dog stuff, what's that look like? Is this just a trial and error build from the ground up? I mean, obviously there's some different stuff on the police side. A lot of it's still pretty similar in teaching dogs certain things. I'm sure obviously the program looks nothing like it did back then, but early on, what it looked like back then.
Let me tell you what. So let me tell you how I was selected for it. This will tell you what it probably looked like, and then I'll go into that. But I graduated. Right, there's 4 of us that come to this specific squadron, and we all get sat down, and everybody, all the team leaders talk to us, and it literally just down the line between the 4 of us, like, and these guys are just back from Afghanistan, right? Like, hey, do you like dogs? Do you like dogs? Do you like dogs? Do you like dogs? No, like I had never seen them. I'd been there 6 months. Never seen them.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I'm like, oh yeah, I grew up with dogs. I love them. They're great. I had Cocker Spaniels, had, a coon dog, had all these things. They were great. Right. Go through it. And it's like, okay. And then then that's over. Right. And it's like, okay, you're going to this team. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't even know what that means. Right. And in every SF unit, right, everybody has specialties, right? You have air, you have water, you have mobility. We happen to be water and dogs. And it was like two pups, right? And to your point, yeah, everything, like I said before, it had been around, but I was by no means the first. It had been around, but it was still in the infancy in the sense of trying to figure out what the totality of what it could be. And yeah, heavy reliance on different organizations across the U.S., right? From selection to training, between the Secret Service, between different police agencies, between like it was a collection of information at that point. Like what can we do? How can we apply this to what our job is? That was the infancy. That was when I got there, and then quickly changed to, and I don't remember exactly when, but it then became its own thing, its own team. So it was part of a team, and then it grew enough organically that it needed to be its own thing, and then so that it could be attached out. But initially, when I got there, it was just 2 guys, 2 dogs, 6 dudes on a team. We were all, I was the bite dummy, I was the whatever, just fire hose.
Yeah. What do you think was the, or if you know or not? I know things escalated and changed and everything quickly because of the wars and stuff going on. But what was the impetus to make it its own unit? There was a couple things that happened overseas that were like, yeah, these should be more. We should have more of these.
I think, anytime you have a capability at a place like that, whether, honestly, any police department, I mean, I if you could trace it back to police departments or, government agencies, anytime that somebody sees a capability, right, somebody else wants that capability. It's funding, it's, that's a great opportunity. Somebody's interested in it, whatever, right? And typically you try and mirror what is going on in one place so that you have that same capability across all squadrons, I guess, or all platoons or whatever, right? You wouldn't have just one platoon that has mortars, right? You want all platoons to have mortars. You want them all to have that capability. So I think that's one part of it. I think the other part of it, certainly, I would say, was solidified when Iraq happened. No doubt about it. I mean, that's when we really kind of worked through the noise, and then probably late 03 began the train, right? I mean, there was stuff in Afghanistan, but it wasn't really, I would say, a proven technology until Iraq. I mean, just with the close quarters and, saving lives, that's really when it was proofed.
Were they sending you, so you're going to all these places, did they send you out there to like Secret Service and everybody, or was everybody coming to you?
No. So I don't know at the very beginning. What I know is that anytime any unit that has unlimited dollars, unlimited capabilities, typically what happens is somebody has an idea and they're allowed to run with it. And that's what gets you your body armor. That's what gets you your new guns. Like, I've got this idea, unconstrained, like, to an extent, right? Go for it, right? I want to learn how to do this. Roger that, go for it. And then, reassessing, selling it to the troop sergeant major or whoever, right? Whoever's signing off on the dollars, like making sure that it's worthwhile. So I would say that every technology or asset is developed that way at that high of a level.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. So as you guys like go into this process and it's kind of in its infancy, and once the capabilities started to kind of fall out, how important did dog selection become? Because it's something that we talk about with military and law enforcement and even search and rescue handlers. And even today, like I was talking to somebody today about dog selection, but how important was that process? And, from the beginning, because I have some friends that are in some other special missions units or in special operations in the military. And a lot of times they're like, well, here's your dog. They're like, and I have a friend that got out and was like, I don't know where to find dogs. They just gave them to me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, how do I find them? So what did that process look like for you guys?
So I mean, I don't know how to equate it for the audience. I mean, there's no real counterpart. I mean, there is in the military, but in the civilian side, it's really hard. I mean, it's an unlimited budget to the extent that the military has, right? I mean, once you start getting into the tiers of the military, right? Rangers, SF, all this stuff, to some extent, you have carte blanche to develop things. And so it's part of it is, do you hire the right guys, right? Part of it is the ability to go to a vendor and go, hey, we can just throw money at you. This is a national asset we need. Make this happen, right? And if this dog fails, it'll go here because it'll work out here, right? And you see a lot of that our failure rate, because it's so specific, could benefit, a police department. They're not that it's less important, but it's maybe less specific, right? That the specific, like the need is maybe less, I guess, in the sense of like, I need this very surgical tool, and maybe, maybe a regular butter knife works over here, so we can give that butter knife to you, but I'm still searching for a surgical knife, right? And so we had the ability to test a lot of dogs and let go of a lot of animals. I mean, really, I would say the failure rate is pretty high. As far as the selection specific, like what technique we're using, it varied, right? We used the best of this, the best of this. We're testing these innate traits because we know we need this. We don't want a dog who's too high in prey. We don't want a dog who's too high over here in defense. Like because after experience, a high prey dog is going to bite operators. A high defense dog, I mean, there's all these factors, and it's like a constant litmus test, really. I know that didn't answer the question, but
no, that answered.
Oh yeah, it's funny too, because talking about the unlimited budget, basically you have access to any vendor in the world that you want and all the money you need to get the top dogs you can, and yet here you are still having to fail a large amount of dogs. That's a real tough part of this line of work. And it's something
people don't talk about a lot.
Correct. And
it's the nature.
We, Ted and I, at the first a Bravo 3 conference, we did a class. Him and I did a class, and it was standing room only, filled with everybody. All the canine guys came the first day. Later on that day, our next class, no one was there because everyone went to the first one. But we got pulled aside by a guy from down there at that command, and he said, "Hey, I like you, like your attitude, what you say, blah blah blah. Do you sell dogs?" I said, "Yep." At the time, I only had 4 kennels, not very many. Every dog I had in there was amazing, but I only had 4. Yeah. Now I only have 8, but every dog when I have a full kennel are great dogs. Sure. Because I can't afford any turds whatsoever. But he's like, and I'm geographically an hour and a half from Shallow Creek, which has 90 kennels or whatever, 450 dogs a year. John brings in. We've had him on the podcast, and he's like, "Wow, we can't really go to these onesie twosie places because we will most likely fail your dogs, or we might
Yeah.
take them and still fail them. And I said, well, you could stop through. I mean, it's on the way. What if I have
It's like
the
next door,
unicorn?
bro.
What if I have
Yeah.
3?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What if I have
Which
the
is huge,
unicorn?
right? Yeah.
But and it never worked out. And I get it. But when you guys select that killer dog and you start going, where do you see it start to fall apart? What part is where they're failing?
I mean, and you know, I have the benefit of deferring to more experienced trainers by saying, "Hey, I was a handler. I was an operator handler. That was my like, I'm Jeff Gordon. Just put me in a car. I don't know how to work on it, but
Right.
I can drive it." You know, where I saw it falling apart in the multiple dogs that we handled, you know, try not to get into TTPs too much. I would say how to say it better than like a dog that can see in the matrix, somebody who there's a switch, right? And you know what I'm talking about. We can talk about training dogs and putting them in with people of the same order in the sense of, you know, they're working with their SWAT team or they're working with their team. There's some dogs that just get it, right? And there's some dogs that don't. And when I was there, and there's some dogs that get it until they don't, in the sense of there's so much stimulation going on that now they no longer see clearly, right? So you have some dogs, there can be stimulation, there can be helos, bombs, shooting, whatever, it doesn't matter, and they still get it. You have other dogs who there can't be anything, right? And they get it. But the second you add gunfire, the second you add a bomb or a helo, like, oh, my bucket's full, like I'm going stupid, right? That's what I had. I had like a 50-50 dog. Like he could get it, and to the point where, you know, there was nobody in the room after we'd blown the door, and now I was getting bit because I was a number one man, right? So I don't know where to say it really falls apart. I think a lot of it, to be honest with you, you probably see this at your seminars, is with individual trainers and individual units. You know, what do individual units value? The unit I was in probably values something a little bit different than our sister unit. And it's probably always changing based on the trainers that are there and the handlers that are handling dogs. And that's kind of a cop out, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and you made a couple of statements. One is like the whole unicorn statement, you know, or well, that's what you're saying. And
Yeah.
you know, I think a lot of guys, a lot of trainers especially, are chasing a specific type of dog that they want. Like I know what I'm good at training and what I like personally, and what I can run and handle at various stages as a trainer or as a handler is not what I would pass off to a guy that's been a cop for 5 years that got assigned to a canine unit or whatever, tried out for canine and was like, oh, now we're going to give you a dog. And I'm like, fuck, I've been handling like 17 years and you want me to pass off this? You want this one? No, you don't. And
Right.
so, you know, then you run into all these other problems. And then on top of that, you have another guy that's more experienced is telling him he should have this. And you're like, you're both wrong. And so like, I feel like they chase a lot of things, what they think they want or what they don't want. And then the other portion of that too is, you know, I think it's a good thing to kind of be very honest about where, because we've sold dual purpose dogs to departments that will never get a bite, either through policy or just because like 2 people live in the county.
Yeah.
And like if they're going to bite somebody, it's going to be once in a career. And I've sold dogs to departments where they get a chance to bite somebody every time they go 10-8. So, you know, and you have to have a very real conversation with a lot of those handlers and admins, and, you know, and then make sure everybody's stars are aligned, because you have admins that are like, oh, we don't bite anybody. And then the handlers are like, yeah, we do. Yeah, we bite people all the time. And and then the admins are like, well, this is what we classify use of force. And like, so then they get into all that other shit. And I'm like, so you guys got to be, you know, you got to be comfortable with like what's going on here. And, you know, I think, and we've talked about it before, but you know, people chase the unicorn. They're like, you know, they're like you said, you had an option to go through, you know, hundreds of dogs. And a lot of times departments are like, well, this is our dog, this is what we got. And it sucks, but it is what it is. And we've seen it before at seminars where, you know, dogs come from, you know, and without getting too far into it, inevitably when we see a dog that's really, really good, or really, really bad, you know, we kind of ask somebody, we say, where did that dog come from? And they'll tell us most of the time. And we're like, oh, and shortly after that, well, not shortly, but there you start to fill in some blanks. I'll put it that way. So you're 100% correct. Like, you know, we ask, who did we, our last episode was Freddie King. Granted, he's a duck dog guy, or retriever, but I mean, you know, those guys are fucking ninjas. And Eric asked him, he said, hey, you know, if you see a dog that you've never seen before, but can you tell who trained it? He's like, oh yeah, I totally, I totally can. So yeah. What do you think, E?
And they rotate, right?
Oh,
I mean, trainers rotate in the military. They rotate between. So you may be thinking you're picking for this group, but they have a new trainer in there, and that could be the trainer that was over here before, and they could alter the way that a handler like me thinks, right? I mean, I only am exposed to this, and now I see positive reinforcement, or I see, you know, hey, we're doing clicker training. Oh wow, that's a new thing. I've never seen that. I've only spent all of my time, you know, choking dogs off and freaking using e-collars. Like, so it changes a lot. And like, I think you hit it up with unicorns. I don't understand in the dog world why people put so much pressure or stock into a personality on a dog when we can't even do that with people, right? Dogs are as equally complex as we are as humans, right? And when you look at our selection process to get there, there's a real high failure rate. Well, dogs are the same, you know, and they can't even talk, right? You don't even know what they're thinking. We're just guessing.
I say that a lot. And, you know, one thing that we ask at HRDs, it's usually Eric. He's like, how many people buy cops? And some people raise their hand and he's like, good, fuck them. They're in the way. But, you know, if they're in the way, they deserved it. And I tell people, I'm like, you know, no matter how much training we do, it's still a dog. He licks his own ass, he eats cat shit. Their job is to find bombs and bite shitheads. And they will bite old people, young people, kids, other cops, other handlers. Like they will, if they have a chance, like that's their job. You can't teach dogs to bite people and act shocked when they do. And
hey, they're opportunists.
And we say that all the time. And having a very real conversation about, you know, dogs can't understand human intentions. And, you know, when we start doing that whole thing, which is why we start talking about passive bites and all the other stuff about, you know, the difference between what a threat is and being threatening are not the exact same thing. And you can't teach that to a dog. And if that were the case, you know, we would have MMA would be the worst thing to watch because you could read human intention the entire time and no police officers would ever shoot anybody. So now we've got an animal that, you know, works for a tennis ball and has no idea that he's looking for explosives, which are inherently dangerous, and is just happy as shit to do it. And we expect them to read human intentions when we have the best people in the world that can't do it. I'm like, well, yeah, I got bad news for you, bro. It's not going to work out that way.
So we're going to, in a second, we're going to go and take a first commercial break, but I want to go back to the Ranger Battalion days.
Yeah.
And two questions. One, did you yoke up like every other fucking Ranger dude ever?
Yeah.
From 135 to 2010, whatever.
When you say Ranger Battalion ever, that is like post CrossFit. Like Ranger Battalion in the 90s.
Running.
No, you were skin runner. Yep.
Yeah.
I could do like 11, sub 11, 2-miler. And that was like, you know, legit. How fast could I Prusik climb when I did the best Ranger competition? Like how fast could I Prusik climb and how fast could I do the O course, right? So how much weight could you put on your back and still stay under 150 pounds? It was just different back then.
That's funny. And my other question is, anytime we have a Ranger guy on there, so you're at second bat, do you want to take a second to talk shit at all about first and third? Are they terrible?
I first battalion's where I wanted to go at first, only because they get over. They're on the coast. They get to have, you know, St. Patty's Day celebrations, which we do not have up at Fort Lewis. Third bat, I got mad respect for him, but it's third bat. It's a horrible location. It's a horrible location. Like nobody wants to be at Benning. They've done some great things. I got some good friends, Brad Thomas. Like there's good dudes from there, but it's third bat. It's nobody wants to be close to the flagpole.
Yeah, right, exactly. And my last question on that is: so you're at second bat, ACO, BCO. What were you?
Charlie Company.
All right. I have a buddy that was
third
there.
platoon.
I have a buddy that was there at second bat. He would have been getting into the battalion probably about the time you were going through selection, maybe a little bit earlier. There may have been a little crossover. He was B Company, and he talks mad shit about A Company. It's great.
About ACO.
Yeah.
I got some good friends in ACO. ACO does some weird things. SECO was by far the best. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, we have legends everywhere. If you, not me, but the other guys.
Yes.
Yeah, SECO's pretty much the best if you're talking about all of Ranger Battalion.
Right. Makes sense. See,
Yeah.
I knew you'd have an opinion on that.
Or Ranger Regiment, not just battalion. Ranger
Right.
Regiment.
The whole regiment. Correct.
Yeah, the whole regiment. Yeah.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a commercial break. We're going to get back and we're going to talk about some, some fun, specific dogs and some fun stuff with dogs, and then kind of where Kelly went afterwards. And you'll be surprised to learn a couple of the famous dogs we've had handlers on here that he's had a little interaction with. It's funny how small the world actually is when you get down to it. So stick around. Don't fast forward through the commercials. Listen to the sponsors. We got some good people on there. We'll be right back.
All right.
So sorry to interrupt the great conversation we are having, but we have amazing sponsors that we need to bring to you. One of our favorites, one of our oldest, is Southern Coast Canine. The folks down there, the Heisers, they are great folks down there in New Smyrna, Florida, right? They got everything you need to do down there, guys. Full service kennel, southerncoastcanine.com. Give them a call, 877-903-DOGS. The Southern Coast Canine folks have killer dogs, guys. Everyone we've seen have been badass. Check them out on Instagram at Southern Coast Canine.
Everybody knows that training is super important. One of the best training conferences in the country is HITS. It's by canine handlers for canine handlers. HITS Canine, letter K, number 9.net. The largest vendor show in the country, the largest giveaway for handlers in the country, and some of the most skilled instructors in the country, plus Eric and I. We're going to be there July 6th through the 9th in Scottsdale, Arizona, bringing the HRD Roadshow to everyone there, doing the presentation about scenario-based training. And then they've got everybody there from the industry to do fantastic presentations. Also, classifies and for your training hours when you come back to your department. So it's going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona, July 6th through the 9th. Be sure to hit up Jeff Barrett, 863-529-5113, or hits K9, letter K number 9.net.
The other big thing that guys mess around with and don't get right is nutrition for their dogs. Our good friends down at Kinetic Dog Food, they got it right. Especially if you own a kennel. Like there's all kinds of problems that go along with owning a kennel with a lot of dogs, kennel stress and things. These guys are great. They service some of the largest kennels in the country. KineticDogFood.com. Their stuff is so good. Give them a call, 513-615-6904. Kinetic Dog Food on Instagram. Wonderful people, wonderful food. Check them out, KineticDogFood.com.
Next up, we have a sponsor that's moved us for quite a while, Quick Derm by Vet Care. This stuff is magic. For whatever reason, working dogs have this uncanny ability to hurt themselves in fantastic and magical ways. Don't let small problems be big ones. Happy tail, torn up paws. One of our good buddies and also one of our interviews, Jake Hutchinson, had his dog got kicked in the face by a horse. The stitches were healed up very quickly with Vet Care. I use it on my tattoos. Alicia just got a new one and she's using it as well. It stuff is magic. So hit them up at vetcare.us. Use the discount code 10WDR for 10% off your first order. Awesome stuff.
Our brand new sponsor, guys, and he's a good dude, man. He really is a good dude, good trainer. He's been on the podcast, friend of ours. He's worked with us at HRD, great decoy. Jim O'Brien down at NC Canine in North Carolina. Obviously, NC stands for North Carolina. NC Canine, letter K number 9. Great stuff, guys. Their police dogs are good. Floppy ear, pointy ear, dual purpose, single purpose, handler schools, better weather than we have in Ohio. Give them a call, 919-438-0141. Check out his website, nccanine.us. Hit him up on Instagram at nccanine.llc. For them, guys, training is not a job. It is their life. All right, everybody, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. I'm Eric Stambro, as usual, in Canton, Ohio. Ted Summers is here from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have Kelly Roby with us. We talking about getting into certain units and building that dog program. And it's funny because I was thinking about while you're talking about the money situation and failing dogs. There are, and kind of play off a little bit of what Ted said, there are so many departments, and mine did this to me with my first dog, that will not replace a dog because they do not want to lose money or spend any additional money. They can't, they don't have it, or the specific trainer doesn't want to admit that he selected a bad dog. The first was the case in my department. They made me work a dog that had 20 plus failures to engage 3 straight years in a row, putting my life at risk numerous times a year, and because they just didn't want to spend any money to replace her. So so having unlimited budget and being able to drop dogs and pick dogs up and do this and that is definitely a foreign concept for some folks.
Can I add something there?
Yeah.
I like to talk, obviously, but like one of the things that amazes me, I mean, I had an unlimited budget, best equipment, everything. And when I say my dog wasn't perfect, he by no means was. And a lot of guys will say that, but not having the option of replacing him or doing whatever. I talked to, when I came out here to Portland and I moved out here and I started dealing with some of the local police, and I see from a training perspective, like, hey, we get to train on Wednesday nights and I get a few guys that show up, or, hey, it's just the dog guys that show up, or like seeing what people deal with. I tell military guys this all the time too. And guys are like, oh, you did this, you did that. And it's like, yeah, that's great, man. I had every piece of kit that you could even imagine. Like, if I could think of it, I could have it. That's not to say that what we did wasn't cool, but I don't know if I would do what some of the guys do with what they have. There's a lot to be said for what people put up with and the lack of training they get. And I just want to throw that out there because it's always cool to hear these stories, right? To talk to guys, but there's somebody right now listening who he gets to train once every couple of weeks, maybe, right? And he gets an hour and a half, 2 hours from a shift that might be paid, might not be paid. Maybe they have a hidden sleeve, maybe they have a bite suit, maybe they have odor, maybe they don't have odor, or maybe they get called away during their training to a call. There's so many people putting up with things. They're coming out of their own pocket for food, right? Because the department doesn't have enough money, or they're building their own kennel because they want something better. Like, it blows my mind what people have to deal with. So I have to give credit to that, because that's true love right there. Like, it was easy for me. Deploy, deal with my dog, come home, amazing facilities, all this stuff. So it's cool to talk about this, but there's a whole nother level where people are dedicated beyond what I could have ever imagined to have to do.
Yeah, we've talked about, Ted and I've talked about this a lot. I don't understand. I will never understand why canine is the bastard child of almost every police department. You are, your dog is used every shift, whether it's a perimeter search on a building, dope sniff, something, every shift. Yet most departments do not fund it. They don't help. The handler buys all this stuff himself. Or like in the case up here, we have a 501c3 that we have to fundraise for to help pay for equipment and pay for training. But you know who has no 501c3s and never has a problem and is almost never used? SWAT.
Yeah.
SWAT teams all over the place, training all the kit that they want several times a month, getting all this stuff, all the ammo, all this money, and never do nothing. Nothing.
That's why I think integration is so important, because if you can tap into, that's essentially what we did in the Army, right? We tapped into the greatest SWAT teams, and then it got funded. Hey, how do we develop it? That's why I think integration and selling it at the SWAT level, at the bigger departments. And I always thought, we're 15 years beyond what I was trying to push when I first got out. So it amazes me that it's still not there. It amazes me that departments still don't integrate dogs, that they don't, they don't get it. When I first got out, I had a kid come to me. I was in California. I was at LA, and I was talking about the camera, and I was like, yeah, we do this, we integrate dogs. And he's like, it's my job to run through that door. I'm not going to send a dog. And I'm like, well, you've never been shot at going through a door. Like if you'd ever been, that's a really immature statement. If you'd ever been shot at going through a door, you'd be okay with sending dogs to mitigate risk. that's a crazy statement to me. And these dogs, not that I want to waste them, but they're lifesavers. They're hunting, everything. I mean, they're lifesavers. So I don't understand why. I'm with you. I don't understand why it's not a bigger thing.
Yeah, I had a conversation with an admin. It's on the training side the other day, well, like a week ago, and they were asking about like mandatory training. I'm like, yeah, you have to. So I give them all the case law and stuff, and like this, and he wasn't being a dick about it. The admin wasn't, but he was just like, I guess I don't get it. And I was like, let me put it to you this way. I was like, pick military or law enforcement, but regardless of a single or dual purpose dog, they're disproportionate. Well, the dual purpose, they're disproportionately put at the highest instance of use of force every day. They are. When shit gets weird, that's who they call. And I was like, rarely when you track somebody with a dual purpose dog, is it in a situation where they're probably not going to cross the Graham versus Connor threshold to get bit. That puts that handler and that dog in a very high instance of use of force. And I was like, every time the police officer pulls his firearm, there's not a shot fired, but damn near every time, there's not a chance that it can, but every time a dog gets out of the fucking car to track somebody or to do, like, there is a very high possibility that there is going to be some force used with that dog, and you've got to select the right dog and the right handler and have the right policy and have the right support. And they're like, what about single purpose dogs? I'm like, same way. Their only job is to suspend people's constitutional rights. Like, that's their fucking job. That is their job, to establish probable cause to enter a vehicle or whatever. I mean, like, there's more shit that goes on than that, but on the narcotic side. And I said, so that shit has to be dialed and it has to be supported. And you have got to know your shit, like as an admin and as a handler. And I was like, the dog is kind of like ancillary, like whatever, I mean, as long as they do their job and they do it correctly and it's maintained and everything else, like everybody's good. But this guy looked at me, he was like, I've never thought of it that way. I'm like, well, you run a police department. Like, I understand that canine is like one dude out of 70. I think 72 people in this department. I was like, I get it, but I'm like, I promise you, like, you need to select the right handler because they are going to get into some shit. And you do not want somebody stupid handling that dog. And he was like, I've never thought of it that way. But yeah, they're disproportionately put in the highest instance of use of force of any. I mean, I asked Eric this a couple times ago. I was like, when was the last time, like, how often do you get a SWAT call and you shoot somebody?
A few times in my entire time on SWAT did we shoot.
Like 14 years you were on SWAT, right?
14 and a half years we shot 4 people, I think.
Yeah. And how many times when you were in canine did your guys go out and bite somebody on a track?
Well, one handler had 175 bites with his first dog, 100 of them on tracks.
One of them had 9 bites in 3 days or something.
Yeah,
ridiculous. So
it's amazing. It's amazing when the stakes are really high. Who gets called in?
There's teams, there's part-time SWAT teams with full nods, and they got all the plate carriers and all that. They got night vision and everything. The dog guy who's out tracking the dude through the field or whatever has none of that.
Nothing.
Some places do, and I'll give him
a long line if he paid for it, right?
Yeah,
almost got a flashlight.
Right. Yeah. Right. So. Well, let's. I was going to get into some specific dogs, but we'll stay in the training realm. We'll do the dog stuff because people love hearing about specific dogs and things like that. But so, as you were going along, did you stay when you were in the command? Did you stay in the handling part, or did you delve into the training side of that?
I didn't really. No, I only did. So when I first got there, like I was saying, how it transitioned, right? It switched from, so we only had a couple of animals, and I volunteered, right? I was there whenever I could. If we were back home and they were doing team trips, I tried to go up and get handler training, right? So I could be sellable to go be a dog handler later. So in my off time as an operator, I was doing that while maybe the team was whatever, doing mobility or jump training or whatever. And then I finally, when it was time to move up, I moved over to take over the assistant team leader position on K team, and that's where I got my dog. But during that previous time, we talked about the other dogs. I was there when we picked out Pepper. Like, that was my class. That was the dog I worked. We had another dog named Roscoe. Chris. That was when Chris got Valco. And just working all those different dogs. I didn't work them overseas. I worked Pepper through my basic course, and then she came back, and I was super upset that I wasn't selected at that point in time. They were like, "Hey, you're still an assaulter. You got to go roll over as an assaulter this time." And I'm like, "Got it." And you fall in love with that animal over 8 weeks, right? Even though she was a fecal freak, she loved to eat the poop and then jump in your arms and give you that hot breath.
I hate that.
She's a beautiful dog, but that was her only downfall.
God.
She was French, I guess. She was an IPO. So, but I mean, so you feel bad, and then I came back after my second trip over to Iraq, and it was time for me to go over to the canine section. So I spent a couple of rotations in the canine team, and then it was time for me to make a decision: shit or get off the pot. My wife had been overseas for almost 15 months in Bakaba up north, and I had rotated back and forth, and it was in 05, 06. It was like when we lost a bunch of dudes. And to go backwards, I was at the time that I got to the unit, I was the youngest guy to go through at that time. So I was 22 when I got there.
Oh wow.
So I was a baby. And so my wife,
And that was never mentioned, I'm
rotations.
sure, ever mentioned to you by any of the dudes
Never.
about
No,
you being 22 years old.
No, the 40-year-olds, the 35-year-olds I served, I was never, ever brought up being the kid. And I never wore that chip on my shoulder, ever.
Right.
But, so she gave me the ultimatum and said, "Hey, and it had been a couple of rough rotations. And she was like, if you want to have kids at this point in time, we're either going to do it when you get out, or we're going to wait until, hopefully you survive for the next 10 years. And it was a pretty easy decision for me. So, so then I got out. So I didn't do the full 20 years and spend all my time in the dog section or operating.
So when you were working with Pepper, was that up at Kenny's place?
Yeah.
What, I've never been up to Kenny's, and I've never worked at a kennel that's that large. What's it like day to day there when you're working specific dogs?
So we kind of got cut off to do our own thing. Obviously, we had our trainer running us through our course. It was 4 of us, so it was our team with an attachment from another squadron. So it was kind of, again, the best of the best, right? We get individualized training, access to whatever training area we want, whatever dogs we want. They're trying to sell it, obviously, because we've got money. So I'm sure we saw the best dogs, whereas maybe if you come from another unit or a department, it might be like, "Hey, here you go," which is unfortunate. It's the dog world, right? And part of it, I think, Ted, you said it earlier, like you might need it. You might need this quality here. You might need this here. So it really depends on what you're doing. But we spent that 8 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it was, up there with Pepper, and we stayed we had a little apartment that we stayed in that Kenny owned, and we had access. But it wasn't a huge place at that time. I think he gained a lot more facility after I was up there. This was like 03, 04.
Yeah, that's a while ago. Is there shit to do in Denver, Indiana? Is there anything to do in that town?
I heard there's a strip club in Kokomo. I can't confirm or deny that.
Maybe I'll try to find it next weekend.
I believe they sell alcohol. That's beyond that. I don't know. That's just what I heard.
Right. I haven't heard much. So it's time to get out, right?
Yeah.
You and I were talking on the phone the other day, and did you bounce straight out to Reaver's place out there, Adler Horse, or what was your
No.
How'd you get there?
So I spent the last 9 months working on developing the canine camera that essentially kind of what you see today. Working with the Navy and working with our place to kind of develop the different versions that exist, taking the input from the guys overseas and being kind of the interface. And it was time to get out, and I talked to K2 and was supposed to be doing some work with them in the canine world, and then also liaising with different other special operations, I guess, projects they had going on with the different with Sandia, all these different military contractors. And I did that for about a year. And then we had a request to do the basic course for, the Navy, my old place, the Rangers. So we did a couple of basic courses for those guys. I heard you guys had Will on. I ran him and Cairo through. Mike was really the trainer. I mean, we were like Bo and Duke, or Bo and Duke out there. Like we had ideas. I was the guy who had been overseas and had, different things we had seen, coupled with, the connection with the Rangers or the Navy in my place, trying to put it together. And Mike, did his best to deal with the behavior side. So it was a good relationship. We did about 3 basic courses. And then I had left K2 and said I was totally done with anything contracting related and started school.
Yeah, the contracting world, as we know, is it's interesting. It can be frustrating.
Yeah.
So this is a question I had I've wanted to ask some of the guys we've had on from your command and from the Navy side that ended up going and doing some sort of training work. So there's a big contingency in those units of psychology, of people with 3-letter degrees and things that are really involved in the commands themselves. And I tell everybody, if you're going to teach human beings in any capacity, and Ted and I have talked about this a lot, you have to become a study in human psychology. And especially when you're teaching people with animals, because there's behavior psychology, and then there's human beings, the way you have to teach them. Like, for example, the 2 guys that are in my class right now are completely different human beings. They learn absolutely completely different. So were you able to take any of that stuff? Because going back to you had a 1.68 GPA. So now you're learning
you didn't have to
from
revisit that. I already covered it.
Right. You're learning from some people in your everyday life about your psychology and other guys' psychologies. Were you able to use any of that when you got out there for those schools, or was it just dogs?
I say this I don't say this. I probably heard it from somewhere like Reaver, somebody, one of the trainers. But I mean, dog training is really not training dogs. It's really training the handlers. A lot of guys don't want to hear that, right? They're like, but you know how it is, right? Most trainers can take any dog and make that dog do whatever it needs to do. And that's because, number one, the dog doesn't know, what's going to happen because it doesn't know that human. But number 2, they know how to handle the dog, right? And, it's really more about training handlers. I did learn a lot about personalities. And I'm a huge proponent of finding the right person for the job. When I first got out, I was always like, it's easier to, let's see if I can get this right the first time. Essentially, it's easier to train an operator how to handle a dog than it is how to be an operator, right? I still believe that to some extent. However, understanding personality, when you come from dog personality, and you guys know this, timing is key, right? If you have people who can't time things, like, just forget about it. But I equate that to being able to clear a room too. The same guy who can't clear a room or can't multitask, right? Know his corner, understand what's going on with the person that went left, and pick all that up, is the same person who probably is going to be correcting and then yelling, right? Versus giving a preparatory and then hitting it. These things, I think they're very similar. I don't think my 1.8 or my 1.68 GPA played into my understanding. But I do think people is a huge thing in the dog world. Being a people person, as weird as dog people are, understanding behavior across the board is huge.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to go ahead. Yeah. Oh yeah. We're going to go ahead and take our next break. When we come back, we'll get into the dog stuff that we're going to talk about, specific likes and dislikes and things like that real quick. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Working Dog Radio, we love our sponsors. This episode is sponsored in part by Ray Allen at rayallen.com. Everything for dogs. Check out their 10% discount code using Working Dog Radio, all caps, rayallen.com, for everything dogs.
Be sure to check out Dogtra also. Eric and I love Dogtra. It's what we both use at the kennel each day. I like the 1900S. Be sure to check them out at dogtra.com. Use the discount code WDR10 for 10% off any single item over $200.
Are you going to the Hits Canine this year, guys? The biggest and best conference in the United States, July 6th to the 9th, Scottsdale, Arizona. HitsCanine.net. Give Jeff Baird a call, 863-529-5113.
Making sure you have the right dog food is a super important part of running a working dog, whether it be police dogs, military dogs, or hunting dogs, or search and rescue. We like Kinetic dog food. The guys at Kinetic can be found at kineticdogfood.com. Area code 513-615-6904. Hit them up.
We got a brand new sponsor, our good buddy Jim O'Brien down at NC-K9 in North Carolina. Full service kennel, police dogs, single purpose, dual purpose, handler schools, trainer schools. Check them out, nck9.us.
All right, we're back. Last commercial break. I hope you didn't fast forward. Use the discount codes. I actually used one. I ordered some of the Ray Allen stuff the other day and used the discount code from Ray Allen instead of just texting.
All the time.
Instead of just texting Matt, which I'm sure he appreciates. So, yeah, we're back with Kelly from one of the SMUs from military side, talking about dogs, handlers, all kinds of fun things. So,
my GPA.
Well, we're talking how doesn't necessarily equate to being able to train handlers. You mentioned something too, like I talk about handler selection a lot, and unfortunately for Eric and I, we get what we're sent a lot of times.
Yeah.
I have some great handlers, and I have some handlers that have come through, and I'm like, there's 100 jobs in law enforcement, and this one's probably not for you. Like, and you mentioned timing. Like, I've had some guys that were substantial, because I'm not like old, but I'm not young either, but dudes that were like Eric's age, and like their timing sucked. I'm like, didn't you ever play fucking video games as a kid? And they're like, no, I didn't have video games. I'm like, how old are you? They tell me, I'm like, oh, so yeah.
Didn't you ever yell at the video game before you started freaking out? Like, yeah, let's do the whole preparatory thing for,
yeah,
like, we can do that.
Yeah. You yell at the TV before you throw your Wii controller through it. So, how do you make sure that dog understands what you're saying? Like, he has no clue.
Yeah. You say it louder.
100%.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. You yell it louder. Right up in their ear if you can.
Yell louder and pull harder on the leash, preferably on the live link on a pinch, or turn the volume up on the remote. I mean, that's the way I do it.
Not sure why you got bit. Doesn't make sense.
Oh shit. So speaking of dogs with unique personalities, can you talk about some of the memorable personalities with 4 legs that came through that program?
Yeah, I have. I mean, mostly related to my time, and I got to talk about my pup, but very specifically, we had, there's a whole bunch, but specifically overseas, I think that's more relevant, personality-wise, because that's where you really see it. I always talk, the cool part about having dogs overseas is like it's a built-in Whoopee or Binky, right? Being a dog handler overseas was so cool in the sense of like you've got your buddy there with you. You get back from a mission, smoke cigars, maybe have whiskey. Can't confirm or deny that, but like you might, but you got a pup there with you, right? How great is that? Versus being locked in a team room with 4 other dudes, rehashing whatever happened or didn't happen, right? Playing video games. Here I am in a kennel by myself with 1 or 2 pups, or maybe with another guy. Like it's amazing. And personality wise, we had my dog Tupac. He was a little Malinois, little black Mal, and he was probably ultimately not necessarily the ideal dog for the program. Real needy, kind of like me. Maybe a reflection of the handler, right? You always say the personality is right, travels down the leash. But he, real big vocal dog. But he was a little pocket rocket, and he was a nice. He was a PH2, about 60 pounds. 62 pounds, just awesome little dog. Never had an issue putting him on a bite or anything like that, but he was a little quirky. And then we had Valco, who was in the program when I was there, who I was handling him overseas during '05 during the surge. I was rotating between Tupac and Valco, and we had an incident. Basically, it was a crazy 3 nights. It was a really bad time during the surge, but essentially, we had a real bad night. I was so tired of dealing with Tupac. He was exhausting me. And it was probably all on me, but it was just like, man, I'm ready. Valco seems so much easier. I want to work Valco, right? He just kind of gets it. He's quiet. He's just good to go. Tupac was like always on Ritalin, like, gotta go. Let's go, Dad. What are we doing? What are we doing right now? Where are we going? And that was exhausting over the course of 4 or 5 hours, right? Every night. So I was like, I'm gonna take Valco out. Took him out. We had a couple of hits we did. And Valco, I've never seen a dog engineer a bite as much as Valco could. He was amazing at it. Fun. But I took him out one night, almost got him killed. We had some guys barricaded on a stairwell. He went up the stairwell. I saw it all on camera. And I mean, I don't know how he didn't have holes in him. I called him out to me. We backed off. We had little birds come in. And I'm literally like running down the street with detainees. Other people have them searching for blood, right? Because there's no way he didn't get shot. And he's busy biting people. And I'm checking for it was a nightmare. And I'm like, okay, I'm going back to Tupac. The next night we go out and we get blown up. And Tupac's ears all jacked up. And I'm like, all right, I'm going back to Valco. Go back with Valco. That's the night we lose him out on an area search. He alerts on a guy, hits him. 3 of us are online about 20 feet away. Guy raises an AK and gets filled in, and Valco's in the middle there. Whether it was a ricochet or a bullet from an operator, I couldn't tell you. But so it was a 3-day period. But Valco was one of them, Tupac, and then we had another dog, Jura, who was like, man, you guys have had them where they're so switched on, but they're unpredictable in the just around people, like around your guys.
Yeah.
But he's so switched on target. But hanging out, he can be just chilling and just boom, nailing you. And he was that dog. He was a lover. He loved me, loved one of our other guys, loved the handler. But beyond that, just couldn't predict him. Just had that look, and you saw it coming. But a lot of guys be like, "Hey, what's going on, Jura?" Totally fine. Just walk by him, and he's like, "Wham!" No alert, no nothing. So we had those 3 personalities, and then I talked about Pepper being the fecal freak. I didn't get to work her. Dave Nielsen did. Lost her, obviously. Unfortunate situation there, but those are my examples.
When did you in the dog program, even if it was like when you were just a speed test dummy or whatever it was they had you doing, when was it that you actually got bit for the first time and it didn't kill you and you're like, okay, I can handle this? Like not in a suit, but got bit.
I on target by my own dog. Sent him in a room. He had bit, so we were lined up on a door, and we'd done a bunch of hits, and dry hole after dry hole after dry hole, get a bite, dry hole, right? Blow up things, all this stuff, right? So I sent him from behind the stack, and this was my real like light bulb moment. And he literally bit all 4 dudes, like on the way up to the door, and then went in the room. And we got done, and like everybody's like, "Hey, he bit me," and I'm like, "It's just a snap bite." And they're like, "Yeah." And then you kind of put that 2 and 2 together of like, here we are at the door, getting ready to enter, and he's distracting everybody. So after that, I got to be the number 1 man pretty much at whatever door I just got sent to. And I got tagged a few times coming in the room, like, how fast can I yell at him? How fast can I assess that the room is empty and yell at my dog before he gets me, right? Who's got the tactical advantage? I didn't always win that game. Like sometimes he did. But beyond that, I haven't really had any serious bites. I had one out in training after I got out. I got tore up big time by one of the Navy dogs. He didn't end up making the program, but like no reason, just drain tubes, everything, double bite, like into my nerve and my elbow, like just a nasty bite. That's really the only real bad bite I've had.
Yeah,
You guys
Ted.
probably have a lot more.
Yeah, not. I mean, we get bit a lot. I've been able to avoid it a
I
lot
try not to
lately.
hang out with dogs like that.
Right. True. Ted got tagged by a dog. I think it was 2019. For no reason in the calf and had like 17 stitches or whatever it was out of nowhere, moving from one place to the next. Those dogs are the worst, the absolute worst. When I was working for Cobra on the West Coast contract for them, we had a dog in the kennel that he bit while I was there. I think I was the only person he didn't bite. He bit everybody. And he bit the kennel support guy that was feeding him every day. He bit a team guy that was helping feeding him a lot. And it was usually because you had to break him, take him out of the kennel over to the area you're going to go. He wanted to go to the left. No, we're going to the right. And dude, it was on when that, and he ended up going out to Ritland's place. He tells a famous story of him. The dog's name was Rocky.
Yeah.
When they got to the airport in Dallas, the dog had eaten
that one.
half of the crate and his head was sticking out of it. But those dogs like that, it's so hard. Even if you're a seasoned trainer, it's hard not to be weird around them, and they're weird around you. And that's the thing. So like that dog that bites Ted, he still has to deal with that dog. Like within a few hours,
and put that emotion behind, right? Put that emotion away.
How? You know what I mean? It's so. We talk a lot of shit about being used to getting bitten, things like that. But when it's not in the heat of the fight and it's just some sketchy, weird, random shit, man.
You can do it if you
I don't
see
care
that
who you
dog
are.
that's like doing this, right? And you see it coming, and you're like, okay, yeah, I got it, buddy. But the one that's like a psycho, right? The one that just no rhyme or reason, lovey-dovey, then just deciding to be, Ted Bundy, like that's totally different.
There's been an undercurrent in this entire conversation because you kind of talked about at the beginning about dogs that are like prey monsters. And like we talked a little bit about selection process and the dog and you kind of had a little blurb about the dog being a little too prey heavy or being a little too prey, and so when I watch departments test dogs, it's always interesting. And we talked about how trainers, have like certain types of dogs they like. It's always interesting watching like certain trainers test dogs, and I can always tell what they want and what type of trainer they are. Because like there's a lot of dudes that are like, I want prey, 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 prey. And I'm like, if you've ever handled an actual fucking prey monster,
right,
that is 99%, that has nerves so deep you can't see the bottom and will kill anything that moves, it is fucking annoying. And those dogs they're great because you point them at a fucking fence post and say, "Stell them," they'll bite it. Like it doesn't matter. But man, you have got to
just getting the ball from is sometimes
fuck, and you have
a never-ending process.
You have got to cap them their entire career, and teaching a green handler what drive capping even means, and then how to maintain it for the dog's entire career so he doesn't fuck the handler up or whoever is around. Like, you know what? I'm going to do this track, and I'm going to track for 25-30 minutes. It's fucking hot as shit. And normally I always bite somebody in this track, but I get to the end and homeboy got picked up by his girlfriend. So I'm going to turn around and bite somebody else because that's who's there. No, we cannot have that. And that's those dogs. And I hate that. And like, I like dogs that are, that are a little on the prey heavy side, but not so much that it's a fucking management nightmare like that. Like if I have to manage them, oh man.
Jura, he was, he's as close. Falco was good too, but Jura and the dogs that I really spent time around, he's as close to what you would want. He saw in the Matrix. He had this little glitch when we were back home, and we could work around that. But he wasn't a prey crazy dog, right? He was that dog. He was just like, he was huge, beautiful red mouth. he was gorgeous. But he was a dog we retired. He retired and went home with his handler and never had an issue with any of the family or anything. It was really, he was quirky. He liked who he liked, and if he didn't like you, like you knew it. We didn't like prey heavy dogs. and our trainers were amazing at being able to assess that and not pick dogs that were just, monsters. It's that fine line of um, being able to do what needs to be done so that we have confidence that we're not putting, the teams in at risk. But at the same time, like you said, being able to handle, like, not being crazy. If you send him from a helo on a long bite, that he's not going to run through this guy, or he's not going to hit the other operator that's running next to him, right? Like a dog that's clear headed enough, like they did a phenomenal job. I don't know. And again, we had the opportunity to wash a dog really easily. So we're fortunate. I don't know how police departments do it. That's amazing to me. And maybe they don't sometimes.
And they don't sometimes.
Yeah, we'll do some of our HRD seminars, and we'll have dogs there, and we'll pull the guy aside and go, look, man, because I told you about my dog with the 20 plus failures to engage every year, and it makes you think when you're working a dog like that the admins don't care if you get killed. They actually maybe want you to, the way they act. And I'll tell the guys, I go, look, dude, I'll write a letter to your chief or your sheriff, and we'll take videos and we'll show them this dog's going to get you hurt. This dog ain't it. And we've done it. We've done it several times, and we've gotten dogs replaced. We've had departments replace dogs because of it. We've had departments say, suck it up and work him. Yeah. We don't care about biting. We don't care about any of that. If you never do it, who cares? And the third one, and this is the real bad one, he's my buddy. I can't do it. Yeah. I love him. He's my buddy. And handlers that do that, I got to tell you, I feel really bad for where you're at in your headspace, that your buddy dog going to work with you every day and is probably going to get you hurt is more important than you actually getting hurt. But they've been getting away with it. Right. I mean, they've been getting away with it.
Yeah. 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 The second you lose somebody because you've guarded this other tool, or you haven't done, like, that's going to be a way shittier feeling. Mm-hmm. And y'all probably know, I mean, once you get through one or two dogs, or you lose a dog, like, it becomes a different game. Number one, you understand it galvanizes what they're there for. I think, and it makes it, like when we lost Valco, I was like, it sucked. Like, that's the hardest call I ever made, carrying him on my back off target, and then dealing with him in country, knowing we still got to go out either that night or the next night, but having to make the call back to his handler and go, hey man, that sucks. But knowing, having the operator that was there 15 feet away or 20 feet away, my buddy Joe, and have him go, dude, that was absolutely the right call. Like, that saved my life. That dog saved my, like, problem solved.
Yeah. Right? No brainer. Right.
You make that switch and you go, yeah, he's my buddy. But at the same time, like, calling this person's kids or wife is totally different than finding another dog. So, or even my own life. Yeah. Right. So.
For sure. So you now have, like, you're in school and you've got kids that are running 19 different directions and going to sports and everything else. You're also part of a charity. So what is it and what's it about?
So start that over. I'm not part of the charity. I've associated in the sense of, like, supporting them. Right. When I got out, I did a bunch of stuff. I took the last year off. I've literally been, not a vagabond, but I've had the opportunity, unique position, to take a year off, and then COVID hit. It was great. Timing couldn't have been better. I didn't plan any of it. But the last couple of months, I've been working with All Secure, which is Tom Satterley and his wife Jen, bringing in kind of illumination to things families are dealing with, and PTS struggles and TBI. And then, working with guys like Chris Van Zant and Lee Busby, just kind of trying to bring a little bit of conversation to you don't have to be it's not the victim side of things. I hate a lot of people think when you talk about PTS or TBI that somehow there's victimhood associated with it. And I think that's the story that's been going on the last 5 years or 10 years. But really it's more about like, here's your new reality. Like, this is how you need to exist in this new reality. You've seen things, you've done things. You're not going to change that. And that's okay. And making people understand like, hey, here's how we cope with it. Here's what your family needs from you. You can't just bury yourself in a bottle. You still have to produce, right? You still have to do things for them. And they, need to be able to understand where you're coming from. So that's kind of what I think All Secure is really going for, trying to bring families closer together and help guys recover from things that they're dealing with. It's a weird, I won't get too far into it, but the TBI and PTSD side. So I'm a psych major with a kind of a science background, but it's weird. They don't know what they don't know. TBI, PTSD, it's all the same. It really is, as far as I think anybody understands it right now. So whether it's a chemical issue, whether it's a psychological issue, it's kind of all mixed right now, and nobody has the answer. So
yeah, I'll put, if you got to go on to, I don't know if you can see that or not, probably Eagles and Angels LTD on Instagram.
Yeah.
I went and checked them out. I think my light was blocking here, couldn't see it, but I went on there and just started following them. Eagles and Angels LTD. Stuff like this I like, and hits home because back in 2012 I got into a really bad motorcycle crash and had a pretty severe TBI from it. Different than explosions from war and stuff, but I still have issues to date, mostly with memory. And then everybody will tell you that's around me, I've had over the years severe anger issues from it, and I'm assuming from it.
When you're old, right?
The guys in my handler class can tell you, I can yell with the best of them, and I wasn't always like that, right? So I do think it probably equates to that. It's weird. I was talking about this today with the guys in the class during lunch. They were asking me about, hey, I heard you were in a motorcycle crash, and I was telling them the story about it, and I said I have gaps where for like days after, I still don't remember the crash. I have gaps where I don't remember anything. And while I was telling the story, two cops that I know showed up to bullshit for a minute, and they go, "What are you doing?" I go, "I was just telling about the motorcycle crash." And he goes, "Yeah, the one where you were like gone for weeks." And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, you came to our buddy Zach's party." Zach is our buddy from the Ranger Battalion. And he's like, "You were at Zach's party and you're all loopy." I go, "I don't even remember that. I don't remember that." My middle daughter, it was her.
It's not funny, but I can laugh at it because I experienced the same thing. So it's okay.
My crash was on a Friday, and my daughter's high school graduation party was at the house on Sunday. I don't remember it. Things like that. So there's definitely a lot to it. And I don't know that as much research has been done as they've even really scratched the surface. I don't know. I'm not that much into it.
And that's a misnomer in the sense of, like, you talk about explosions, and anytime your brain, like whether it's a soccer ball, whether it's a car crash, anytime your brain is doing this, like between the, your actual brain and the outside of your skull, and it's doing this, that's what's causing the damage to the neurons in the outside. And I can't speak to it well enough. There's a couple of people out there, Doc Pate and some other people, that really crush it, but TBIs are everywhere. And the classic signs, like exactly what you're talking about, the inability, like anger issues for no reason, right? Adrenal issues, like all kinds of different factors that people don't want to talk about or maybe don't understand. That's kind of, I think, Eagles and Angels is doing, for your listeners, like they do a custom shop. So they take a hat, a Richardson hat, and they take your uniform, they do some beautiful leather work with a flag or whatever. And the part that I was involved with, as I had a uniform that I had when I was in the unit, I dedicated it, and then the money, a portion of that went to All Secure. But Eagles and Angels does a custom shop where, as a police officer, you could do the same thing, right? You can take your uniform and say you want to give it to some of your family members or your kids. Like, you can have a uniform if it has importance to you, or even auction it off for local things, right? And they'll make hats for you. Obviously, you pay for them, and then a portion of whatever, however you handle those hats, you can distribute them. It's a pretty cool thing. And again, it's a friend, like you said, who was in a different squadron, but he's a Ranger too. Third bat guy, I think.
I'm not saying shit.
I'm not saying anything. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know for sure. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Right.
But
so where are we headed with the psych stuff? What you think you're going to do?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody will let me practice. I really,
Ted, you want to head on out west, Ted, and lay on his couch and
I don't need to go. What are you talking about?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
What?
I think so. My long-term goal is to, talk a little bit more about this stuff. I've got another podcast with, you guys follow Mentors for Mill at all?
Mm-mm. No,
Okay.
I do not.
They do a lot of active duty people and then similar stuff. But some just kind of bringing more awareness. I don't really know. Reaver asked me to come down and do a judging for, I guess they've got a agitator course or something going on in June. I don't know. I can't do it. I'm going to be traveling, but just kind of figuring life out, I think.
Well,
I don't know if anybody really wants me to work on their brain.
Yeah. Guys that know you're listening to this are like, no way.
No way.
Yeah.
That guy?
But if you don't know me, I've got a great deal for you.
Right. So Ted, is there anything else you want to promote? Any other social media or anything like that?
No, I just want to say thanks to you guys. I listen to a lot of what you guys are doing, and I appreciate the awareness that you bring on. I know you've got a good audience, and I don't know how to say it to the law enforcement crew, but it's embarrassing sometimes or humbling sometimes for us to get the credit. I mean, I haven't done dog stuff. I don't do it anymore. It's embarrassing sometimes to get the recognition that we get when there's a lot of people out there every single night doing what they can with what they have. And so I just want to say, from my side, as many people that come and go, hey, thanks for what you did. I appreciate that. But, thanks for keeping my family safe at night. Because what I did was important, but this is in our backyard, and I can't imagine going out every night dealing with, the climate we have to deal with and doing it in your own backyard.
Yeah, I literally chased some dudes through my own backyard one time from a stolen car. They had to pay for that. But anyways,
man.
So
for the stolen car.
Every fucking episode, Eric is like, oh, and this one time. And every time I go to Canton, it's like a tour of where Eric arrested people.
Yeah,
And
I just sent him Google photos. Hey, I shot a dude right here, right in this
Canton
tourist, right there.
Canton
tourist
board's like, hey, Eric, could you stop mentioning Canton, please?
It's like I wasn't going to mention that, but it's like it was like an episode of, regardless, I'm like, but I'm not gonna fucking go there. Eric, where are you on the Instagrams?
I'm Van S Canine on Instagram. Van S Canine Academy on Facebook. Soon, Van S Canine Academy on Facebook, which right now is all pets, is going to be all police stuff. And then I'm moving the pet brand over to Ridgeside Canine, Ohio, teaming up with our buddy Aaron Taylor, who's got the original Ridgeside down in Northern Virginia. I've talked about this before, but I had to separate the police side and the pet side for advertising and for accounting and for liability stuff. So moving that brand over there, got a brand new location for the pets opening up probably in 3 weeks, I'm guessing. The $10,000 worth of rubber flooring arrived today. That was heavy as shit, buddy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they had forklifts.
I've got a bunch in my spot right now.
Yeah.
Alicia was like, we should move this again. I was like, fuck that. We'll wait until they're finished and we'll put it down. Speaking of which, Torchlight Pets on Facebook and Instagrams. And we'll follow the build out, which starts pretty soon. And then, of course, Torchlight Canine for the canine side. And then, of course, the Instagram for the podcast, working_dog_radio. I just shipped out like $4,000 worth of doctor shit yesterday. It was 2 fucking giant tubs full of doctor stuff to people. I shipped shit to Australia, which in hindsight, after the Australian interviews, I'm not going to say where I shipped it. So if you get it down there, then just don't say anything, I guess. and put a scarf on the dog when you're using it. If you're in one of the areas where you can't use it, the rest of it stayed in the U.S. So I shipped a couple things down there. But yeah, so we have the Instagram there, and we have the Patreon, which is where we give all that stuff away from our sponsors. I shipped out some quick derm, some other stuff too to people. Yeah, and it's free. Patreon is a small fee, but you get access to no commercials and get discounts, and we send out patches and stuff. Speaking of which, we just ordered a bunch of more patches. I saw the invoice come through yesterday or
Cool.
2 days ago. So we got more patches getting ready to come out. So those always seem to be popular. But yeah, other than that, man, this has been a great episode, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Glad you could get us in, Kelly. We talked earlier on the phone. We're like, literally, this time, this date, or suck it. And we're like, okay.
We're like,
well, those weren't the exact words, but
no, but I'm
like,
oh, that's what you
I'm
said
good
to
at
me.
paraphrasing.
That's what you said to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
I did not say that to you.
I
appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks.